to the economy, do you suppose?
The impact is immense, and we are going through a rough time right now since the Mexican team is so close to being eliminated from the finals in the World Cup, something that hasn't happened in like 20-something years. And the economic impact of that would be immense, David. I mean, we're talking about a business that's worth at least $600 million in Mexico alone. During the last World Cup in South Africa, Mexico's jersey outsold all others. According to Adidas, more than 1.2 million Mexican shirts were sold. The team has, for example, an ongoing $40 million sponsorship deal with Coke. So we're really talking about big, big business here.
But it's not just in Mexico, is it, the effect? If the team doesn't make it, we might feel it north of the border.
If the team doesn't make it to the World Cup, everything related to it will devaluate. And radio and TV stations in Mexico, but also in the United States, would probably suffer greatly from the ratings and the loss of advertising. The Mexican team is a revenue machine for companies on both sides of the border, so it would be a tragedy if the team doesn't qualify for Brazil.
Are you actually worried, my friend, that Mexico might not make it to the World Cup?
Well, I think in the end the team will make it. It would take a catastrophe for the team to lose against Panama in Azteca Stadium, just to put things under perspective. Previous to our recent defeat against Honduras, Mexico had only lost one official match in Azteca Stadium. That's one match in half a century. I really hope, for the team's sake, the fans, and my 5-year-old son, that we get to see the team in the finals.
All right. Well, we'll be watching. Leon Krause, anchor at Univision's KMEX in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Pray for us.
Let's leave it at that. I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report on APM, American Public Media.
If you can sit, you can get fit. The Hawaii Chair.
That feels great on my abs.
Back to work at Washington's Navy Yard.
Like any day like this, it'll be somber.
The Fed's concern about the economic recovery.
We're still not sure we're on solid footing here.
A hard-to-find health danger.
These polyps can be very subtle, and if you miss them, they can grow into a cancer.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kathan with the CBS World News Roundup. The Washington Navy Yard is coming back to life this morning, 3 days after so many deaths. Gates reopened to workers a couple of hours ago.
Almost like after 9/11. You know, sort of like their little world has changed.
WTOP Radio's Nick Ionelli is there.
All facilities are back open except for Building 197, the site of the shooting. The FBI is continuing its investigation inside that building. Also, agents are using the base gym as a staging area.
The motive for the attack that left 12 people dead remains unclear. CBS's Bob Orr says gunman Aaron Alexis left no apparent notes, but did leave mysterious etchings on his weapon.
One of the messages scratched into the gun's metal reads, "Better off this way." The other is more cryptic, "My ELF weapon." Investigators don't know what the etchings mean.
The Department of Veterans Affairs says Alexis visited 2 hospitals in the weeks before the massacre, but denied he was depressed and said he had no thoughts of harming himself or others. Wall Street liked the Fed's decision on easy money. Yesterday's stock rally has markets pointing higher again today. S&P futures are up 6 points. The Fed and Chairman Ben Bernanke decided to stay the course on the bond-buying stimulus plan amid concerns about sluggish job growth. CBS News business correspondent Anthony Mason joins us. Anthony, any guess when the tapering off might begin?
Well, that's the big question, and that's what's got Wall Street all aflutter. But basically, Bernanke said yesterday, the first step possibly later this year, but now indications are, I think particularly with the whole debt ceiling debate looming over Washington and what that could do to the economy, it may now be next year.
And when it comes to loans, home loans specifically, and what does all this mean for interest rates?
Well, I mean, what you saw when the Fed said over the summer, look, we're going to start to pull back, you saw interest rates, mortgage rates particularly, starting to go up. They may come down again a bit for a while because it looks like the Fed is at least on hold for a month or two, maybe more. But once the Fed starts to ease up, you're going to see mortgage rates move up again. And as Bernanke himself has said, ultimately, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a sign of strength in the economy.
On Capitol Hill, the House plans a vote tomorrow on a stopgap spending bill to keep the government running past the end of the month, but Republicans will include provisions gutting Obamacare, all likely to be undone by the Senate. And CBS's Bob Fuss tells us there's also House action expected today to cut $4 billion from a high-profile program.
Republicans say they need to get a handle on the cost of the food stamp program, which skyrocketed as unemployment went up. But Connecticut Democrat Rosa DeLauro says the effect of these cuts would be to knock millions of people off a program they rely on to buy groceries.
They want to take food out of the mouths of hungry men, women, and children all over America.
For decades, nutrition programs have been part of the wider agriculture bill, but House Republicans are splitting it up because they were unable to find any other way to pass a farm bill. Bob Fuss, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Now to Lexington, South Carolina, specifically the Murphy USA gas station. WLTX TV reporter Lauren Tallarico is there, along with a lot of other people.
The sign in the door says, if you bought your Powerball ticket for last night's drawing at our store, you better check those numbers twice.
The lone winning ticket in the $400 million Powerball drawing was sold there. The lump sum payout on that is roughly $223 million. Two former Obama defense secretaries, Robert Gates and Leon Panetta, said yesterday they would not have gone to Congress for backing of military force in Syria. There's been a rebuttal of sorts to Russian President Putin's New York Times op-ed admonishing the U.S. about Syria. CBS's Vicki Barker joins us live from the Foreign Desk in London.
In an open letter to the Russian people, Senator John McCain says that in supporting the Syrian regime, Vladimir Putin has made Russia a friend to tyrants and an enemy to the oppressed, untrusted, he says, by nations that seek to build a safer world. McCain's words, though, might not get the same exposure as Putin's New York Times column. The Arizona Republican's op-ed piece appears in an obscure online tabloid called Pravda.ru, not the Pravda, which was for so long the Communist Party's official newspaper. Steve?
In a Fox TV interview, President Bashar al-Assad again insisted rebels were behind the chemical attack outside Damascus last month.
We have evidence that terrorist groups have used sarin gas, and those evidence handed over to the Russians.
Here at home, the number of people unaccounted for in the devastating flooding in Colorado is now less than 200. Teams with dogs and medical supplies are now going through some of the hardest-hit areas. 80 deaths in Mexico are blamed on Hurricane Manuel. The storm's taking a second swipe at the country's Pacific coast. Another 58 people are missing after mudslides. New research finds 40% of all colon cancer cases could be prevented with regular screenings. But CBS's Dr. John LaPook says the study in the New England Journal of Medicine found some polyps can be missed by doctors during colonoscopies.
Polyps that are on the right side of the colon, that's the very beginning of the colon, tend to be flat and tend to be very tough to pick up, and they tend to be more deadly. You have to go very slowly and carefully and meticulously. Look around every nook and cranny. Make sure you wash off debris, because these polyps can be very subtle.
Members of the top military units in this country are being told to stop taking an anti-malaria drug. We're live with CBS's Heather Bosch.
The malaria-fighting medicine mefloquine might be giving troops symptoms of post-traumatic stress or even permanent brain damage. There's enough concern the FDA upped its warning on the medicine last summer, and the Surgeon General's office at Special Ops has ordered Green Berets, Rangers, and other Army elite to stop taking it. Mefloquine's been used since the 1970s. Doctors say most people do not experience problems with it.
Well, former heavyweight boxing champ Ken Norton has died at 70. He'd been in failing health after several strokes. Norton's best known for his 1973 upset of Muhammad Ali, breaking Ali's jaw in the process.
7 points, Norton, 5 points, Ali. There it is! There it is!
Norton later lost 2 bouts to Muhammad Ali. Online donations now closing in on $100,000 for Glenn James. He's the homeless man in Boston who found $40,000 in cash and traveler's checks in a backpack and turned it in. A Virginia man started that fund after hearing the story. We learned this week that 46.5 million Americans live in poverty. That works out to 1 in 7 people. Now CBS's Dan Raviv says more detailed information is out about poverty and household income.
Census statistician Ed Welnick says income levels barely changed in 1 year.
Median household income was $51,000.
The city with the highest household income, Washington, D.C., median $88,000. The lowest, Tampa-St. Pete, $44,000. Across the country, almost 16% of Americans live below the poverty line.
The state with the lowest poverty rates included New Hampshire at 10%, Alaska, Maryland, Connecticut, and New Jersey at 10.8%.
The highest poverty rates are in Mississippi, New Mexico, and Louisiana. Dan Raviv, CBS News.
Also in the numbers, home ownership in this country has fallen for the 5th year in a row, now to just under 64%. That's the Roundup. I'm Steve Kaith, and CBS News.
Buford, J.W. Tell Judge Tobin I got me another. Yeah, little old guy this time. Throwing one of them racing cars in the city limits. Claims it's some sort of a Dodge something or other.
Challenger, new Dodge Challenger RT.
How's that, Buford? Of course I'm sure. It's got racing stripes, big old 446 back, everything. Huh? Well, put him on. Howdy, Judge. You cute little old gal, old Baker in a minute. Wheeling that big old racer. You did? Well, of course I seen him. Yeah, concealed wipers, dual headlights. What about that shaker hood? That big old 440. Oh, optional. Yeah, gal. Judge Tobin want to talk to you.
Hello, Uncle Ralph?
Brand new Challenger RT. If you trust your own judgment, you could be Dodge material.
Y'all drive careful now, yeah?
Confessions of a Potentially Perfect Parent, brought to you by AdoptUsKids.org.
Okay, here goes. I know more about cooking dinner for a party of 12 than I do about packing a lunch for a 12-year-old. I know kids like things like PB&J, pigs in a blanket. Oh, and fish sticks. They do love fish sticks. Fillets I get, but sticks? What part of the fish does the stick come from? I know I can read a cookbook that'll tell me how to make a red wine reduction, but where are the cookbooks that can teach me how to cut the crusts off bologna sandwiches? Oh, maybe we can compromise on mac and cheese. Can you make that with brie? Everybody likes brie, right?
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to push your food around their plate. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit AdoptUsKids.org for more information. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Studio 26 as we're keeping up appearances here, as it were, on this Thursday, the 19th day of September, 2013. Still to come, what's on TV tonight, popular tweets of the day in a moment, as well as the song of the day. Right now, though, what do you say we take a look at News of the Weird? Kind of a follow-up to a story I brought you, I believe, yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So bear with me. I know I've had plenty of time to look for this cart, but nothing like wait until the last minute. Kind of how I live my life. News of the Weird, here it is.
And that's going to oh, son of a bitch. Why is this happening?
And take a look at News of the Weird for this Thursday. Grumpy Cat to become Frisky's spokescat. Internet sensation Grumpy Cat signed a deal with Nestle Purina Pet Care to become the spokescat of the company's Friskies brand of cat food. Grumpy Cat is officially named Tartar Sauce, is known for its constant sourpuss expression. The feline star will begin with online promotions for Friskies and then eventually appear in TV and print ads. Just what we need to see more of that damned cat. Oh well. As you can tell, I'm a real big fan of old sourpuss. Tartar sauce indeed. And that's today's News of the Weird. What do you say we have popular tweets of the day? Let's do that right now. But first, here's another fine mess you've gotten me into.
You're watching KOMU TV, Channel 8, Columbia, Jefferson City. This is News Center 8 at 10. Your news for the 90s.
And you can always follow me on Twitter.
Hello, computer.
Just use the keyboard.
The keyboard. How quaint.
And Friend Finder Networks, publisher of Penthouse Magazine and numerous adult entertainment websites, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on Tuesday. Whoa, this is news to me. Well, I went to the Tweeter to see what people are saying, and, well, here are some of the things that I found. Rex Hupke writes, Heard about the Penthouse bankruptcy and tried to Google it, but all I could find was a seemingly endless array of free naked lady pictures. Trace Eaton writes, or rather Trace D. Eaton writes, I hear that Penthouse magazine filed for moral bankruptcy today. I think I heard that right.